And we're live. I was all by myself for a little bit, singing the song. All by myself. Well, how you doing, sir? Heather's trying to get online.
I'm all right.
We got the spooky gear in. Spooky.
Yeah, I'm wearing mine.
You got yours in the mail?
Yeah, it came last night. This joint's comfortable.
Stand up, show it off.
Well, it's just here. I don't know if you can see my back.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Here we go. Okay.
You see that?
Yeah, looking good. Okay.
I tried to get it to glow in the dark last night, but it didn't have enough charge. So.
Try to get it to glow in the dark. Didn't have enough charge. All right, the day before the Thanksgiving, the giving of the thanks. Harley won't be here. Unfortunately, Pam had a baking accident. Slipped in the kitchen.
Really? Dang.
Yeah, but she's all good, and they're gonna take care of it.
Good.
The floor was slippery, but happens, people. Okay, be careful out there. Be careful out there, Iron Chef. You know, can get hot in the kitchen.
Hell's wasn't kitchen. Like a knife cutting
situation. Oh no. She did burn her hands though.
Dang.
So thankfully she'll be okay. Shout out Pam. She's tough. Well, this is gonna be it. I was texting Noah, seeing if he could get on. Oh, you know what else I could do? Text Tristan. We can get Tristan on. We're gonna talk about the season, people. Oh yeah, the CrossFit season, new season. Who dis? New CrossFit season. We're gonna talk about it just like everybody else talks about. Talking Elite Fitness has talked about it. Coffee Pods and Wads, Barbell Spin, Sevon. Everyone has an opinion. It's great.
No, now we're gonna give our opinion. Is that what you're saying?
We have to. We have to give the people what they want. Give the people.
Do they really want our opinion? Is that?
I don't know. I think so. We got 100.
I feel like our people want our opinion.
I mean, hey, look, like and subscribe. Click the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. Our subscribers are going. It's near impossible to find the podcast because we don't have enough subscribers or enough visibility. We're low time people around here, but we're doing it. Okay. Heather had to send the link to, was it Mike? He had to send it to Mike? Mark.
He's like, I look every week and I can't find it. I can't even like search for it.
Right. Because we don't come up in the algorithm because we just, we suck.
Maybe we need to share it to our socials more.
We do. We suck. Or, I mean, not only do we suck, people suck. It's not that hard.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you're right. I should be thankful. I am thankful. I am thankful for the 100.
People do suck. You're right.
I am thankful for the 115.
You're right.
Subscribers that we have that bump us up to get the word out to people. Okay. But the reason why is because people are too lazy to hit that subscribe. It doesn't hurt your YouTube. You won't even notice that we're there, but it helps us. Okay? It helps the algorithm.
That's true.
Like I'm subscribed to a lot of things. Like anybody that Heather and I were kind of talking about this before the spooky gear came in. And we were also loading the sandbags in for our turkey day activities for the gym in Merce's car. And we were talking about like there's like, especially being a small business, and there are a lot of small businesses, especially in the CrossFit space and just really anywhere in the CrossFit gym. Like I know a couple of our members, like what they have going on for their work. We got a floor surfacing guy, like small business, been doing it for the last like 6-7 years. We got chiropractors, breweries, hair salons, a lot of small businesses. And like, it doesn't take much, honestly, to highlight those businesses, talk about them, push people in that way to help them out, press subscribe so we get more subscribers on your YouTube. Like it literally does not bother you. The hardest thing is you pressing subscribe. And that's why I say people suck. Cause you're like watching it and you can't even press the button like right now. Like if you're listening to this right now on your phone, just click, use your little mouse and go click and then leave it alone. And it helps us out a ton. Yeah. And you did literally nothing but click the button.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get a bunch of spam. Anyways, that's why I say people suck. Cause I think people don't realize or understand all that goes into a small business, and they just think like, you know, they're out here living some
glorious life,
socialistic life, like
yeah.
have no idea. They're like, oh,
they have so much freedom. I think it's the opposite.
They think like who do you think's paying for this stuff? Like they have no understanding, I guess. I don't know, but it's okay. Like you won't know that until you're a small business owner paying for your own overhead and everything else, and trying to support and work hard for people, just like you guys trying to work hard, trying to make something out of nothing, rub 2 pennies together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so like and subscribe. Off the tangent. Support your local businesses. If you go to a CrossFit affiliate or a micro gym and there's people there, if someone cuts hair, go to that person and get your hair cut by them.
Yeah.
You know, someone sells produce, works at a store you like, visit them often. And it helps each other. Like, help me help you. I don't know. I try to do that a lot. I was really bummed. Like, okay, this is a large corporation, but I was pretty bummed when the North Face in Victor in our area closed down. And they closed. Like I talked to the people there, like bummed because those people don't have jobs now. And then also like their stores, even though it's a large corporation, that physical store is predicated on like their sales and what they do and their production. And the store closed because they just weren't like producing. And a lot of that has to do with online, and you can make all those arguments, but still like just go into the store and buy something instead of ordering online. If you see it online, check if it's in store, go to the store, buy it. Support them.
Wow, that's unfortunately not our culture anymore. Our culture is buy everything online.
I hate that. I'm all about
convenience.
I try not to. Even like this gear, like I try to use Manny. Worked out really well. We use Tiny Fish, a local printer in the area. We're always trying to use local people within our community.
I'm taking Marissa to a Christmas art fair thing on Saturday after training because one of my friends is a part-time artist and she made all these really cool painted ornaments. So we're going to go and support her. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I think we're starting off on a good note because that's kind of where we're going to go is people's perspectives, mindset shifts, putting into stuff that you might not want to put into. So the CrossFit season, Barbell Spin put up a post and asked like how many people are going to do it. How many people are still going to do the open who did the open last year? How many people are going to do the open or not do the open who did the open last year? How many people are going to do it who didn't do it last year? And then people who are not going to do it who haven't done it to get those. Yeah. And it was kind of split like 30%, like across the board. It was pretty like even when he presented and granted, like small sample size, about 3,000 people who follow Barbell Spin that responded when they posted it on the show that they had the episode. And I think there are a lot of people like leaving the CrossFit space, and that's totally fine. You know, they're hearing about what's going to happen, right? So you're going to do the open online and then the top 1%. So let's say 1,000 people sign up. Well, let's just use the 100,000 people sign up. So 100,000 people sign up, then 1,000 people move on to semifinals in the divisions of 18 to 34 years old. And then age groups, anybody 14 to 17 years old and 35 all the way up be the top 2%. So then you'd be 2,000 people if 100,000 people sign up. So not too bad numbers. You know, looking at some of our athletes, like they fall in that 1% or they fall in the 2% pretty easily. So it's not a big change. You're just going to do the open and then do semifinals. For semifinals, they're having online in affiliate semifinals. And the way Dave explained that on the affiliate call is that they want to give that opportunity to the affiliate owners to do something cool, have the people in their affiliate get some of these athletes back into an affiliate who are not currently, like you look at Brent Fikowski, he did quarterfinals in his home gym. That's just an example. There are a lot of people who do that. But if he was still competing, he's retired, but if he was still competing, he would have to go to an affiliate and do it in an affiliate with a level 1 or higher judge to qualify to the CrossFit Games. Same thing with the open. You have to do it in an affiliate. Can't do video submission from your home gym or whatever. I know there's obviously like gray area and wiggle room around that, but that is like the new season. And then there's undescribed how you would do an in-person semifinal I think what's going to happen is they're going to be, let's say, easy math, 10 events. I don't think there's going to be 10 events. That's like unrealistic. But for easy math, there's 10 events. They're going to take 30 men, 30 women. So you're going to have, let's say, the top 300 in the world, 1 through 30, and they'll have the opportunity to somehow sign up for those events for the individuals.
Well, it's going to be kind of like how they had the sanctional year, right? Like, or maybe
2019. Yep, sanctional year.
So they had like the qualifiers for the Open. They had the qualifiers through various different events. They haven't really like given a lot of details on that though yet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so there'll be multiple avenues for the individual level.
Well, there'll be two avenues. Well, I guess multiple is two.
Because they'll have the online, they'll have the in-person.
And that's it. They'll have the online semifinals. No.
Oh, it's not going to be the Open.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought you could qualify through the Open. Like the top 10 qualified.
Let's double check that.
I thought it was like the Open, top 10, and then it was like maybe the online semis confusing. And then the in-person sanctioned events.
No, you go to semifinals. Open to in semifinals to the games based on their little yeah, you don't qualify through the Open. Based on their post online.
All right.
On the games.
I don't know where I saw that then. I guess Tyler saw the same thing I saw.
I mean, there's the Community Cup. Yeah, there's 30 men, 30 women.
Okay, so online semifinals and potentially, and the sanction events, however many those are. They'll be
in affiliate semifinal and in-person qualifying event is what they're calling them, and then CrossFit Games. As far as their little flow chart here, I mean, that might have been said somewhere that wasn't said on the affiliate call. It's not here on their article, but I could see how it's confusing because all divisions to make the games clear go Open, semifinals, games. So you do have to do the semifinals. So you can't go right from the Open. Now in 2019, and that's probably where the confusion is coming from, is in 2019 you could qualify to the games from the Open, the top 10. But either way, that's the...
Is the sanctional stuff going to be kind of like a last chance type thing? Like people who didn't qualify? Oh, okay, they haven't.
No, I mean, no, that's not.
Oh.
That's not the intended purpose of it. The intended purpose of it, as Dave said on the call, was that it's to give you the option to do the online or the in-person.
Okay.
I don't know what that means by giving you the option because there's limited space at any event, not just like any competition you go to. They're only going to take X number of people, and how they're going to filter through those people, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So what I think could happen is what I hope happens is they just say 1 through whatever, you guys get a bid. You get to sign up to one of these events, whichever one you want to go to. And once you sign up, that's it. Like that's your bid. And then everybody else has to do the in-person semifinal or in affiliate semifinal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Tyler's still looking for the Open, qualifying through the Open. I swear to God, it's here.
Yeah. I swear we talked about it. No, the only thing I could see was that
on it for sure.
I don't know. The only thing I saw was that the top 1% from the Open go to semis, but I thought that there was something it was the top 10 for male and female both made it automatically.
Yeah, I think that somewhere too, but
it's not on the game side. So there is a chance that Morning Chalk Up, and they've gotten things wrong in the past, got it wrong, and you guys read it. There's that. I'm looking right at the game site page. So I would just always go with whatever it says on the games.crossfit.com and not what it says on Morning Chalk Up or Barbell Spin or us, even us. Don't even believe us. Go on the website. It's there for you. Your eyes to see the truth. Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest conversation piece that we've had is do I continue doing this? I think, a lot of people, and Harley's talked about this in the past, and is it worth continuing? Because what people want is an in-person event. And I get that. I think that's fine. And there's going to be a lot of events. We have a bunch of people who got backfills to Fittest to the Coast, which I would ask, do you think there are more backfills for Fittest to the Coast because it is so close to the Open?
Yes.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Or do you think people just didn't want to go?
I find it a little bit wild that because it was very competitive. Like there was like some really good athletes across all the divisions.
Well, let's give the backstory real quick. If you don't know, we had a lot of people do Fist of the Coast qualifier. That's a competition in South Carolina. And we got a bunch of people who qualified, and then we got a bunch of people who backfilled invites to this event. And the backfill invites and stuff started trickling down as the information came from CrossFit. So I could see people, and there were a lot of competitive people, like almost all of Training Think Tank had a bunch of their athletes do it. We had a bunch of our athletes. There were people from Ascent Athlete. So there were a lot of people who did that qualifier who may not be competing in person.
Yeah.
And that is that setup. So that,
they knew going into the qualifier, like when it was, but they hadn't really announced anything about the season. The stuff with what happened at the games was still kind of up in the air. They didn't really know. So I think we talked about this on a few calls before, but like people are just trying to find events to go to compete at, to qualify at. And now that there's a little bit more information about what the season's going to look like, they are going to have an open in February. I think that did change a lot of people's like motives, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, just because of the caliber, I think two of the athletes that were qualifying and competing for the online qualifier for Fittest of the Coast, like it wouldn't surprise me if that's the reason.
Yeah, they like reset.
Yeah.
So to go over some history, because the first thing that happened was that people complained, like even in the affiliate, we had some people say like, well, my season's over at the Open. I don't get no quarterfinals anymore. And I'm like, that's really interesting. When did you start CrossFit? And most of these people started like 2019, 2018. And like, I would argue that most people who start CrossFit probably don't do the Open the first year. They're not like me, where I started CrossFit in fall of 2011. And then the Open came in 2012 and was like, here we go. Like sign me up. Everybody's doing it. But in those days, all the way up till 2018, like that was it. You did the Open and that was it. And it was 5 weeks. Sure. Okay. 5 workouts. Great. Which was a nightmare for affiliate owners. I always said, and like you go back, you look at the attrition, the number of people who filled out all 5 scores. And I'm talking about GPP general participants.
Right.
Most people didn't. There were people with tooth and nail. People would have vacations because typically it was during like ski week or President's Week, whatever you want to call it, for school. A lot of them are parents. And they're like, oh, I'm going to miss one. I'm going on vacation. And that's fine. Like, that's great. But that begs the question too, like outside of the affiliate, outside of coaching, outside of all that stuff, it's like, you got to realize that you're going mass participatory event online, and you're going to ask people to dedicate 5 weeks to do one workout, which, like, if you look at general attendance inside of most affiliates, like that's a big ask to get people to hit those 5 workouts. So cool. They shifted it to 3 workouts. Stop complaining about it. I think you're missing the point. You don't understand it. That's the first piece. The second thing is, okay, after 5 workouts, they took in each region, and when they broke down the regions, the top 30 for the most part. I think one year was a little more, a little less, but let's just go with 30 across those years of 2011 all the way to 2018 in each region. And sure, the earlier years they had 12, 14 regions, and then they brought it down to super regions and they had 7. But even then it gets more competitive. And when you're taking 30 people across 10 regions, that's 300 men, 300 women, and 300 teams. So when we look at the 1%, the way they're going to do this now, going to semifinals, it's a much larger percentage of people that are going to get into this quote unquote regional semifinal level, which is great. But like depending on where you fall, even though it's online, let's say you finish the Open and you're inside 100. Well, you're a semifinal athlete or a regional athlete, however you want to look at it. So that's the first thing to like sit back and think about. Is like, look at the history of what we did prior to Greg selling the company, jumping off. Like, we had the Open 5 weeks, then a very small percentage of people in each region went to.
Yeah.
Because like even Cody did a 2018 workout today. Because we're having a lot of our athletes who are going to do the Open and want to get into that 1%, retest some of the older workouts. He did a workout, and in the West region, he would have been 800 or 1,000 or something. And then in the Northeast region, he would have been like 700. So he's like bopping all the way around in those placings. And that 2018 year, I told him, if we remember correctly, I think had the most participants at like 350,000 CrossFitters doing the open or whatever, but that system was open 5 weeks into regionals, and they took 30 men and women. So like for a second there, if you understand that history, you go back and look at it, just stop complaining.
Well, and
please.
I think also, like, to your point, like how the open used to be, because that was like the season, right? Those 5 weeks or whatever back then. The thought process around the open was like, okay, can I take my placing from the year before and can I do better?
Yeah.
Like, what were the things that like I did last year, and could I do better in my placing and things like that? And so I think like now people are like, there's not enough spots for me to compete. There's not enough placings. And it was like, it was never about you ever qualifying back in the day. I mean, it was if you were like those top 30 people in your region, but generally like the people doing it for the open in affiliates was like, can I just do better than last year? Can I do it RX this year? Can I do 3 out of the 5 RX? Like, and so I think people kind of like, they're all losing sight of that.
Yeah, especially the people who had like quarterfinals, hopeful and stuff. And I that's great that they like moved the carrot, made a new carrot and everything else. But like you're saying, you know, in this, I know this is like, oh, back in my day, but it's one of the things where like, this is what it originally was. It's still the same.
Yeah.
You know, the training's still the same. The progression's still the same. What you're wanting to achieve and push yourself and use as a motivator, because that's all it is. It's a motivator, is the same. And even if you're trying to get to semifinal level, you know, that's the other thing that I think people lose sight of. And we can talk about, you know, being the best in the sport of any sport, really. It's like, isn't that the goal? Whether it's in person or not, isn't that really what you're trying to do? You're trying to push yourself. And if you have competitive goals and aspirations, what's driving you at the heart of it all is you want to be the best.
Yeah.
Well, this numerical system shows that you're the best. So like just drive yourself home on that. Like who cares that it's online?
Yeah. Well, and I think part of the frustration maybe at just like the gym goer level is like, because they've changed the needle so many times, right? It's like,
I don't think the gym goers care. To just be frank.
I'm just, okay, well, maybe
there's
they
a
don't.
few,
I'm
like,
just saying the ones that are expressing like, oh, there's a quarterfinals.
Yeah,
And no, there's not a quarterfinals.
That's
like,
a very small percent,
you know,
by the way.
Sure. But I guess what I'm getting at is like, and I think this might be broadly like what a lot of CrossFitters are annoyed about is like, it just changes every year, right?
I think
and
the hardcore CrossFitters, like you're saying.
And so it's just like the expectation. And so then it's like, I don't know. I think that it affects like their training. They feel like year to year, like, you know, whatever. Cause it's like it just is never consistent. So they don't really know exactly like what they're going to be asked of, even though to your point, they just like want to be the best. So you just got to train and expect like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And then like be adaptable to that. But I think that's where people are frustrated, is because it's different every year. It changes every year.
Yeah. And I agree.
Which I guess when you're learning, like the sport has only been around for 15 years or whatever. It's like not like years and years. So I feel like they're still figuring out what that is, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, they could have just kept.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. This system they could keep forever, and I think it'd be totally fine. You know, and then a contingency on the people who want to run these events and do stuff for the in-person qualification process would be totally fine. And they could build that and have these people who are running small businesses take charge of that and then award the top 1, 2, 3 to go to the games. Be totally fine. I mean, I think that's reasonable. And also keeping the online position, right? Because like, it's weird to me. I know people like say, I want to compete and everything else. It's like, you're on a leaderboard, even though you're in your own gym. Like literally, like we can talk a little bit about like high rock stuff, but you think about that, or marathon running. Sure, you sign up and you go and you stand at the start line and then you start and then you race and then you finish. And then what do you look at the end?
The leaderboard.
An online leaderboard.
Yeah.
Whether it's in high rocks or running, you look on an online leaderboard. You could have did that run by yourself, you know, and I get it. I mean,
in all fairness, you do that in person too. Where did I fly? What's going on? You're looking at your online leaderboard when you're in person.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying though, is like, it's still, it's the same thing. I understand what people are saying. Well, it's not, because you're not competing against somebody, you're not racing against them, blah, 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 blah. And like we do, it's more of like a narrative. Like people have created this story of like, well, we do this so we get to compete in person. Like how many elite athletes have said that in like podcasts and everything else? Like we want to show up in person and do this. And I know the argument's going to come of like, well, you do the marathon in person, and you do this. And it's like, well, you do, but for the competitive aspect of it, you actually look at the leaderboard online when it's all said and done. It's like after the fact and retroactive, unless you're in a group with people that you're going to race against the whole time. And most people in CrossFit too, which is hilarious. They say, I want to compete in person, but then they do these post workout interviews and they're just like, well, I ran my own race and it was me versus me. And, and they're like, did you know where Tia was at? No, I just trying to do my best and really focusing and staying in my lane and looking at myself.
That's so true.
You could have did that shit in your gym.
Yeah.
You're not actually racing. You just, what it is you want people to see, oh, look at me. I'm on the workout floor. Look what I'm doing. And you want that. And that's great. That's totally fine. I love that. Like go for it. But don't say it's like, we want to compete in person. Just say, I want everyone to watch me exercise,
Yeah.
Cause that's really what it is.
Yeah.
I want everyone to know how good I am and see me on the live stream. And that's okay too. But they also will see you on the leaderboard. So it's fine. So like historically, it was always this way. It's going back to a very similar way. You're having the 2-part piece. You get to the levels, the notoriety, but the open is the open. We had it in the past. We have it again, and it's going to stay the same. If that's something you want to engage in, you can also engage in, like Heather's saying, is doing these other events, these external events outside of CrossFit HQ's system. We'll see how long that lasts too. Cause like, don't forget they own IP, they own what CrossFit is. If they really wanted to, they could push it. And like any of these events that are doing anything that it looks, feels, smells like CrossFit could come in and say,
yeah,
we don't really like that you're doing that. And they would have every right to, and they'd take it. The furthest they'd have to take it would be like court, and they'd stand in front of a judge and they'd have pictures and video, and they'd be like, no, you're doing CrossFit. So you have to give these things to these people, which is CrossFit. I don't think they go that far, but just keep that in mind. So like take advantage while you can. If there's events and you don't align with what CrossFit's doing as a company or a business, as far as like values, everything else, because I know there are people out there doing that. And even if you don't align with those things, you still could participate in CrossFit. That's another comment. Like you don't have to agree with what they're doing, how they're choosing to do things, saying in their actions, and still participate in their event that they're holding and do the thing and enjoy yourself. Because at the end of the day, CrossFit don't care. Like CrossFit doesn't care if Todd Wise doesn't sign up for the open. They don't care. And if enough people don't sign up, sure, maybe they'll care. And I know there's going to be some boycotting that may be happening, and we'll see. Like, see what happens. It's out there. People are talking about it. You have to get enough people to do it, and then it has to hurt CrossFit enough for them to do whatever it is you want them to do. Yeah. It's like the PFA is calling for Dave Castro to resign, and those types of things. Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't really necessarily care about it, but I think that's kind of where they're at with a lot of stuff. Good. More open spots. That's what Cody says. Yeah. If you want to not sign up, Cody's happy to take your rank. Okay. He's happy to take your spot. Mm-hmm. And there will be people out there. We were joking last week about the replacements with Keanu Reeves. It's like, there is someone happy to take your spot. Like Meg got a backfill to compete individual fitness of the coast, signed right up. Someone didn't want to go. They were down on the leaderboard. Yeah, I'll go. I competed. I qualified within the process, and you're giving me an invite. I'll see you there. Same with Melissa Ellis. She qualified for Fittest of the Coast and signed up, is going to compete. Somebody didn't want to go. Yeah, let's go. No big deal. Get after it.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, like, that's what it comes down to. So if you want to compete and play the game of fitness, doing the open is good. Doing other qualifiers is good. Trying to get in person is good. Learning how to compete in your gym is very beneficial. Having the support of your community is very good. So it's all good things in the singular aspect of like you developing, training, and learning how to put yourself on the line. Because I know there's a lot of performance anxiety. There's fear involved. Like, have you been training enough? There's a lot of learning lessons in competing. And I think that's the value of like quote unquote competing, whether it's in person or online, you still get those things. I know, again, I've coached people long enough now, in person, online, and in person competition. they're very similar. You just have to treat them that way, except for the fact that like you're not in front of a bunch of people and everything else or those other things. But I think covers a lot of it. The next thing is like, okay, so if you move from the open to semifinals and you're the top 1% in the world, excluding Daniel Brandon's opinion, are you a semifinal athlete relative to the other semifinal athletes or regional athlete historically? Yes or no?
Sure. Yes.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of argument on that. Like you're not actually a semifinal athlete because you didn't do it this way.
No,
Okay.
that's ridiculous. Are you going to a semis? Then you're a semifinal athlete.
Right.
All right. Fair. Okay. You heard it here first. So any of you guys who qualify, you're a semifinal athlete. Also, you look at the percentage. I mean, that 1% is huge. Like, and it goes down. So if there's less people, if there's only like 3,000 people that sign up, that's in trouble. I think there's gonna be more people than that, but 99 percentile is fit. It's true.
Yeah.
It is fit. You are very fit. We were talking about this the other day because we were looking at the leaderboard, looking at our people and seeing where they fall within the thing and, what kind of work we have to do to push someone from like 97 into the 99 and how possible that would be. And I was going back and looking at our gyms and I was telling Heather today about how we were like, it took top 30 for teams. So we went in 2014 on a team and then like 2015, we're like 34th or something. So missed it by 4 spots and no one was going to not accept their invite. So we were like SOL. Then like 2016, I think we were 32nd. And then like 2017 again, like 31st or 35th and somewhere in there.
It
like
was
the
one
same
year we were 31. We were right under the line.
Yeah. And it's like, okay. And then like me on the team with Harley, CJ, and Marissa in 2021, we were like 11 spots out. So I thought about it, I was like, oh man, like that's pretty crazy to think about, like that fitness level and like just missing, and I don't know, I think that's a cool achievement. So like even then I feel like I made a huge achievement. And I think the people on the teams and in the gym training, like had a huge accomplishment then as well. And even looking back, it's still the same. So like, I think that's another perspective people could take is like, what is your like huge achievement? What is ultimately the goal for you doing this? And how do you feel about it? Because at the end of the day, like that's all you're going to get to take with you. Even if you're in person or online, you have to reconcile and how you feel about it is really what's more important.
Yeah.
I think those are huge things to like sit down and ask yourself and like why you're doing what you're doing, even though that's, I think pretty like played out like, yeah, I got to have my why. It's like, well, your why could just be, I want to be super fucking fit. Like that's fine. And then whatever else, why I want to, I don't know, show people I can, like name some. You guys got any whys that people like throw out?
That we think are silly or
no,
what?
just
Like, what do you mean?
why you're training every day. Like give me some.
They were trying to prove something to themselves or somebody else. Like
Cool.
They were never the athlete and now they found a sport that they can excel in.
Awesome. Yeah. I actually never think any why is silly. I think sometimes it can be posed as a silly question. I'll laugh of like, oh, that's your why. I'll like laugh about it and chuckle, but I don't think it's silly. I think it can be very important to him, like, or her. I like the other day I shared with our group of like my why, literally like on the Echo bike, killing myself is just like, come on, you little baby, you could do it.
Yeah.
It's just to like hurt. Just like, that's a good why. Also, some days I'm like, yeah, I'm going to really beat Cody.
Well, I think a very undervalued why is because they just love it.
True.
There's so many people that are just like, take it so seriously. And it's like, it should be serious. I get it. Cause like you want to do well and like you put a lot of time and effort and whatever into it. But I feel like there's so many people that say they love it and they don't love it. And they come in and they just like, they hate themselves. Yeah, right. Like they hate themselves because they didn't do this one thing, this one day and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's just like the nature of CrossFit. And like, that's the nature of like the whole
CrossFit training.
Well, I'm
like
just saying,
CrossFit,
okay, yeah,
also
okay. I should say training
exercise.
And just like growing and doing hard things.
Because
like,
even if we were bodybuilders
cliche,
today, you probably wouldn't want to come in and hit your bicep curls the way you're feeling.
But it's like, if you don't love it, it's like, why are you even here? Why? Yeah. That's like the very simplistic. And I know it sounds very cliche, but I feel like we run across that a lot with a lot of athletes where they just self implode because they missed one training session, or they didn't do as well as they thought, or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, okay, if that's happening consistently every single week, every single day, then that's like a bigger conversation. But like one session here and there,
1 to 2 times a week, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I mean, even today, like what did I say when I came in? You said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I just don't want to train today. I just did not want to train."
Too bad.
I know. And I was going to do it anyways, because that's just the habit and whatever, but I just did not want to train today. I did not want to train, did not want to freaking do anything. I just wanted to stay home. But it's like, you're still going to do it, and you're still going to come in and do it and do whatever I had today. And then it actually ended up going pretty well today, which was good. But
imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to do that's like soul searching. Because I was listening to the podcast and told Heather earlier, they're professional high roxers, and it's like they got asked like, oh, well, what is like professional or professional high rocks? And they laughed, like audibly laughed on the podcast. It was like, there's no such thing. And these are two of the top 10 guys. They're like, I got a full-time job. Like, I'm not like, yes, I am one of the best in the space, but this is not a profession. And maybe it could be, but it really is not. Like, you're not paying a mortgage with it. You're not paying, making your car payment or whatever. Like, and there might be some people who are, but that's really, unless it's like a vast majority of people, there's no professionalism in the sport. And what's crazy to me, because you look at CrossFit, everyone's, especially in the 18 to 34-year-olds, everyone's calling for professionalization of the sport. We got to listen, people, it's not a professional sport. It's a hobby. Mm-hmm. It's the farthest thing from professionalization. And the only way it's going to be professional is if you get huge organizations, huge money into the thing. And we almost had that with Monster back in 2021, and everybody killed that because they didn't want to have the sugary drinks. We don't want that Monster money. It's like, okay, but you want a professional, but you don't want the money, because that's what you need. That's literally what you need. You need to pay people's income. They need to be able to buy homes and set up retirement and everything. That's a profession. Like, you go to your job every day and you get your 401k and your health insurance and you get paid for the work you do. That's a profession, not this thing. So we got to step back. I think everyone needs to step back from that. I think the Talking Elite Fitness, everybody's got to stop saying it, stop throwing it around. The professionalization of the sport, it's not going to happen. Like, this is a hobby for grown adults who weren't very good at Division I athletics. Let's be real. I don't want to hate on you. You were a phenomenal athlete, I'm sure. But at this point, we're all just playing this game for health and fitness, and it's fun. It gives us something to do, and it gives us something to strive for and be better than every day, and some enjoyment, some pride, a little bit of ego stroking when you do well, gives you some notoriety, gets to, have Cody talk shit to you. He says, I love the feeling of beating Todd in workouts. See, all of it. It gives you all that. So like, those are great things. And we just need to step back and think about that. And there's nothing wrong with that list I gave, and adding list, like things to that you get out of it. Zero wrong with that. Like, you're fulfilling your life. You're filling it up with something I don't want to say noble, because it is. It's noble. You're pushing your body. You're developing yourself. You're doing something greater than what somebody who's not doing something like this is doing. I would say the same thing for grown adults who join the USA bobsled team, because there are a lot of older athletes in that, or rowing, or masters cycling, because there's a ton of masters cyclists in the world. People doing triathlons, people doing high rocks, people pushing themselves in other areas in their life is notable, and that's okay, and that's enough to do it, and we should do it for those reasons. So if you're going to do the open for that because you just want to push yourself, have a goal, and approach something that is meaningful to you to see how good you can be and how much you can push yourself, that's what you should be doing. It doesn't have to be the open. It could be Fittest of the Coast qualifier. It could be TFX. It could be whatever event, Wadapalooza. I know a lot of people back in the day, I think the love for Wadapalooza has kind of gone away, but I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do Wadapalooza, and that's great. I always laughed at it because sometimes those people would say that, and I'm like, well, can you swim? And they're like, no. I'm like, pick a different event because it's gonna have a swim.
Yeah.
But regardless, the enthusiasm about it and their joy and then giving themselves something to chase down and push themselves and have a reason beyond some of those other reasons is phenomenal. And like, I always go back to this every year, and I try to convince people into thinking this way because I think it's valuable. But same thing with the open, like Heather was saying, it's like you just, back in the day, all we did was, oh, the open's coming. All right. And then like, oh man, Rory McKernan every year at the end of the open, we're like, all right, like competition season is done for the rest of us. Was 365 more days until hockey tryouts. We'll see you guys next year. Like he would end the, what they call the
final workout announcement.
Yeah. Or like the inside the leaderboard stuff that they would do back in the day, or like the update shows.
Yeah.
And that's how you would like end that season in those years. Yeah. And it was like, that's what it was. That's what it was about. It's about, all right, let's get back to our training. Let's get back to the methodology. Let's get back to pushing ourselves, learning about ourselves, making mistakes, growing, trying new things, like everything. It would give people motivation to work on their aerobic endurance or their strength endurance or their gymnastic skills. And it'd just be a litmus test for you to see where you're at in this adventure and your total body of fitness. It would be the same as if, like, I've talked about wanting to do this in our gym. And I think, as we get closer down to development, of having people come in and do VO2 max testing, force plate testing, and like, basically like, barometer or, can't think of the word right now. When the grip machine. What's it called?
I can't think of it either.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Showing like people's some characteristics of like development, and then putting them through a training program, and then testing their VO2 again, showing them where they've improved, force plate jumping to show them that they've increased their power into the floor and their strength through their legs. Like, it'll show all those things, and like giving people metrics to chase that are individualized to them, and then improving those characteristics so that way they can see health gains through performance data. The open's kind of like that. It's it's very similar. You're using specific things. There's areas of opportunity when you look at them, and you can use that to grow. And I always think that's a really good way to do it. And they're bringing it back to the old school days. And if you weren't here then, you're probably not going to understand it now. But if you were here then, like we were, I feel like you're just going to roll with the punches. And even though it is like Heather said, uncertain, and people just want to know, it's like, this is very similar to what they used to do. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Well, and I think, like, I thought what you were going to say when you were mentioning, like, I come back to this every year. Like, I thought you were going to mention
how I couldn't double under for 2 years in a row.
No.
Idiot.
No. But that is a good thing to
Never
know
worked
for people
on it.
who still struggle with that. Because
I just didn't practice because I was stubborn.
I know. But I'm saying, like, you just think that Todd comes in and coaches and can miraculously do these things. Like, we've all struggled. We've all had to develop these skills. But what I was going to say is, with the open sign up, the thing I feel like we come back to every single year is like the people that are like, well, I don't want to do it because it's just like too stressful, and I don't want to blah, blah, blah. And they put all this like pressure on themselves. And we were kind of talking about this earlier, like how, there's certain athletes in the gym. It's like, nobody's watching you. Nobody's watching you doing bar muscle ups or peg boards or struggling with handstand push-ups. Like, you're the only person that's like, maybe your coach if they're in the building, but no one's watching you. And so I think it's like the same thing applies.
And no one's thinking negatively about you.
Right.
Like, they're just like, oh, that person's working hard and trying that thing.
And I think that like, that's the thing that I come back to the open is I feel like a lot of times it's convincing people that it's like, you need to just do it because it's hard and it makes you nervous and it makes you uncomfortable. And I think that that's like such a reason, probably the biggest reason why you should do it. Cause I'm like, I don't remember who Joe Schmo score on 21.3 score. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm never going to remember that, but you might remember that. But I think I don't like it.
Who was third place at the CrossFit Games?
I don't even remember in 2021.
No, this last year. No, just this last year. Who was third place? I mean, I know,
Ariel Lowen?
On the women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job. Most people don't know that though.
But anyways, I feel like we come back to that every year because everyone's just like, they use it as an excuse of like, oh, it's so hard. They change the rules. It's not fair. But really at the end of the day, it's like, they just don't want to do something that makes them uncomfortable, puts them out in this like open. When again, nobody really cares what your score is. They just want you to come and show up and do something hard. Yes. And I think that when you are the type of person that is so like this about that, like, that's something like you should think about, work on internally. Why do I feel this way? Why do I feel challenged by this? When I come in CrossFit every single day and do hard things every single day, like, why am I so challenged by this leaderboard or this thing? It's like,
or like not knowing.
yeah.
Because yeah, that's just human development. And so you can use the open or online qualifiers or anything really, like even the Turkey Day event Thanksgiving Day event we got going on tomorrow. I didn't tell anybody what we were doing specifically. Like I told them, okay, it's going to be the heavy challenge from Rogue. So you know that you're going to have to carry a sandbag at 70 and 100 pounds for 1 mile. And I made teams of 4. I didn't explain how that was going to go down. Told the classes this morning because I wanted to kind of get the brief out before tomorrow at 7 a.m. And it subsided a lot of anxiety for people, which is great. Like that's what I knew it would do. But at the end of the day, there was 16 people who signed up on the Google Doc and made teams, just being like, okay, like whatever. And then we had more people sign up after I explained what it was, and which is totally fine. Appreciative of it. Thankful for that. It's awesome. But it's also a thing, like Heather's saying, like you can put yourself in situations that are very safe, but uncomfortable. It'd be very safe to put your name on that thing and be like, I'm just going to show up and whatever Todd says, I'm just going to do, and I'm going to try to do it my best. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like it's a safe position. There's people around me who care, who want me to succeed, want me to grow and become better. And then there's a coach and a coaching staff that cares about me and my development and wants to grow and become better. And that's like what you can use the open for too. But you have to change that mind state of like, I'm going to do the open because I don't really want to. Even if I don't, like, there's no quarters, there's no whatever, like take all that stuff, put it aside and go, I'm going to do it because it's a challenge. It's hard. I'm going to prep for it. I know that I got to get my toes to bar anywhere from 60 to 120 toes to bar. I'm going to work on that. I got to get my chest to bars back up. I got to get my endurance up. And you can use the next 12 weeks of training to dial it in, get a little bit better, act more professional, because that's the other thing with the guys from High Rocks. They laugh and talk about how like it's not a professional sport, but they also talked about how people should take things more professional. Even if you're doing it for an hour, they talk about micro communities like in Colorado and Texas, where these people are out there running at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And you can tell that they're taking it professionally. They got the shoes on, they got the gear on, they're taking their goos, and they're only going to run for an hour to 90 minutes. And then they go, same thing in here inside the CrossFit gym, or same thing when you're training. Even if you're training for an hour, you could take it more professional. You could approach it better. You could get your pre-workout nutrition. You can start looking at pre-workouts that you want to take and build into that. A lot of people take pre-workouts pretty easily already. But then come into class or come into your training session, ask your coach, hey, what's the focus today? What are we going to do? Okay, cool. I saw that we're going to do this. I really want to work on these things. Like come with your own things that you want to work on. Start working on those things for the hour. And then when you leave, let it go. See you later. Approach it professionally, put in what you could put in as best you can. Like Heather didn't want to train today, but then once she got going, she approached it the way she needs to get better for that day and the physical and mental effort that she had, and got a good session out of it because she changed her mind and approached it that way. And I think a lot of people could do that. And you can use the open or these online qualifiers to do that for yourself in this capacity. Same thing with people who want to do High Rocks. Like, well, sign up for High Rocks, but make sure you have enough time to train for that. I think there are people signing up way too quickly because it's really hot right now. It's like Hansel. He's so hot right now. But I mean, dude, that's such
Does anyone know that reference?
It's Zoolander. Come on.
Oh no, I know you know. I'm just saying broadly. Yeah. Anyways, go on.
It's such a really hot thing right now that but when you look at the specific demands of that sport, like guys, pick one for next year. Like a lot of you, 2026, look at 2026. Like we've already coached some people through it and we've brought on some new people who are going to do High Rocks, and we're running some of the testing for them to, see where they're going to fall, what's feasible, all these things. And it's much easier than doing CrossFit because it's known and there's way less things you got to work on. But the general energy systems, the strength pathways, the ability to sustain and hold on to a high threshold and stay right below your W prime and then be able to hold that pace till the very end. It's a very specific thing, but it's also very similar to CrossFit, except it's strung out pretty long. And looking at that thing and how achievable it is, you got to, spend some prep time, some training time, a lot of it. And that goes back to taking it professionally. Like, yeah, sure, you could go out tomorrow. Most of you guys listen to this and do a High Rocks and do fine. but I can guarantee you're going to be sore the next day. You're not going to be super happy with how you
Do
did.
fine, meaning like you just completed.
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you finished. That was fun. I got sweaty.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You got the medal. You got the gold star.
Yeah, and that is the case for a lot of things. Or you could say, like what we were talking about early, is just getting back to like, hey, I'm going to train for this. I'm going to take this professionally. Even though I'm not professional, I'm going to approach it with some effort and intention. And that's going to help you as a human being beyond that thing that you're doing. You're going to approach other things in your life that you're going to look at that way, right? It's like, you don't have to get crazy about it, but like, you're going to be on time for things. You're going to bring the things you need. You're going to start remembering things for like your kids. Like Marissa was telling me a story about her mom when they're growing up. They were never the kids that forgot their soccer shin guards, because Nancy would always bring them and remember them. And it's like that type of intention and mindset can be cultivated in other things, like your training, like come into class with your thumb tape and your knee sleeves and your shoe, like whatever you need for that day, and you don't miss a beat. And it's not hard. It's really easy to do those things. I think sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to be so crazy about it. I don't want to be so bought in. I don't need them, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, it's so simple to just look at the workout. All right, cool. I need my lifters and my belt today.
Well, they think that having intention is equal to
some psychotic,
and all of this, like, back end story. It's no, like you're just having a little bit, for lack of a better way of saying it, integrity, right? Like you care about your training session. You care about like putting in the effort. You care about showing up on time, having your things ready to go. You're respecting the programming and the training and the people who are writing it and coaching it and doing all that for them, all the effort they put into that. Right. So I think it's like just having integrity in that as part of who you are. Right. It doesn't have to be a stressful thing.
Yeah. And we know members and athletes, and even myself, I'm in this category. Like, it's easy for me to have my stuff. Like, I've never not been prepared for the things we're doing. And I'm not stressed about it. I show up, smile on my face. And I know a lot of people that are like that. And I want that for other people. And I want them to not be stressed in that process. So you got to work on it. So then it's just like, oh yeah, I always have my stuff. I'm a person who always has my gear and my equipment. I'm ready to train. And you build that behavior, and that person, you become that person. And it's crazy how we're talking about all this, and all of it is really driven by like just doing the CrossFit Open, man, or whatever qualifier it is that you want to do this year.
Yeah.
All right. The one question I had, which we can cover, and I think I can cover it pretty quickly. If you have 3 tests in CrossFit, is it a valid test to get people to semifinals? That's the question that people want to know. What do we believe and think? There can always be 2-parters too, right? A and B workout. Mm-hmm. So there's might be 4 workouts.
Go ahead, Tyler. I see.
I mean, honestly, it's like, honestly, it boils down to, it is enough. It's going to be enough because that's how the season's going to go. And everybody, but the thing is like, but everybody's going to have to, it's at least going to be, if it's not well-rounded, it's at least going to be what everybody has to do, so it's, I prefer, like, as much as I didn't like the 5-week opens, I think they were you have a better chance at making it more well-rounded.
Well, yeah, because you have more workouts. You're more
exactly.
That's the easy way, though.
Yeah. Well, I think
because you could take 10 workouts and make a well-rounded test because you got 10. The question is, could you make a well-rounded test that tests fitness in the definition of CrossFit in 2 to 3 tests? Go ahead, Heather.
I agree with what Tyler's saying because I think that that's absolutely true. But I think it's going to change every single year. Like, we talk a lot about like leaderboarding and how there's like buckets. Yes, Marissa, I was kind of getting at that, getting there. But like, we talk about like buckets of how people are on the leaderboard, right? And so I think that top echelon of athletes, it's not going to matter. They're all going to go through. They're all going to make it. It's going to be fine. I think that it's like that bottom 2/3, like it's going to fluctuate. And to Marissa's point, saying she disagrees, it's like, one year it's going to be enough because it's going to fall in your favor, and the next year it's not going to be enough because it's not going to fall in your favor. And so I think there's
But is that a problem in the test, or is that a problem in your personal fitness?
Maybe it could be a problem in your personal fitness, but
no, it's 100% of
because
why?
Well,
could,
because
why
then
could
you're not
Jeffrey
then you're
Adler-
not that top echelon of athletes, right?
But why are
right?
why are they top echelon?
Because they can do everything and they're great at everything.
They're
right?
fit across broad times and multiple
And those people who will go to semifinals will be the ones that are going to go to the games. Those are going to be the top 30 in the world. But to the semifinal level athlete, I think that there will be ebbs and flows years to year based on what the tests are.
Let's see. It's easier to make well-rounded tests with 5 because there are 5, but the 3 tests really can't be well-rounded unless you go mono gymnastics, weightlifting, right? I don't think so. I think if we go through CrossFit and we go the simplest form that's in the level 1 manual, we go long, short, medium. We go light, medium, heavy. And you could do all 3 of those, and you could mix those up, and you do couplet, triplet, chipper, and you mix those up, because you can have a heavy chipper, you could have a moderate couplet, and you could have a light triplet, and you could go long in the chipper because typically chippers are long. You could go long in a couplet too. You could go medium, and then you can go short. You can do a short sprint chipper. They've done sprint chippers at the games, at regionals. So like, you, by definitions of CrossFit and how they create their methodology and their program design, you can have a well-rounded test in 3 workouts. You can, but you have to subscribe to what they're telling you in the level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4, rather than your opinion or what your version of CrossFit is. Because that's the biggest thing, is that your version of CrossFit may be incorrect.
Yeah. Well,
because it's not my version.
Well, it's like the year,
the
year that crossover singles came out and everyone was pissed about it. And they're like, that's not CrossFit. That's not CrossFit. And like, there's some new thing that they can't do, or it's challenging or whatever. People get all mad about it.
Yeah. This I do agree with. And Chris Spieler used to say this back in the day. If you know who Chris Spieler is, some people may not.
Yes.
We know, but some people may not, which means you ultimately choose the athlete with the test. And Chris would talk about this a lot. You can program somebody out of the games. You can program someone in the games. It is an avatar. You got to be very careful, looking at the skill set of a singular individual. You can definitely make someone win and lose, right? So you could exclude handstand push-ups, and Laura has a chance to beat Tia in the open, right? Because she's so good. They're so good at everything. That's Laura's biggest weakness. You take out handstand walks, and Tia's going to win the open. You put in handstand walks, she has a smaller chance of winning that workout. But you got to know those things about the athletes, right? And so you could skew it, and you could go down the list of like the top, let's say 30. And then yes, those fringe people, you could program them out easily. You're right. You could do that. So as far as a well-rounded test in the terms of the definition of CrossFit, yes. In the terms of could you exclude athletes? Yeah, but you're going to always exclude somebody. Even if you had 10 tests, I think you would still start to exclude people.
Yeah.
Let's see. She says, I think they're well-rounded because they are telling us it is, not because it actually is. Sure. Yeah. I think we could change well-rounded to saying the tests are in line with cross methodology, testing broad times and multiple domains within the context that they've given us of program design. Could you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And
I agree with Marissa. It's more of they're saying that they're well-rounded. They're not as well-rounded as they could / should be.
Yeah. I would argue with that 100%. But if we look at every single open workout ever created, all of them, even the last couple of years, and even you could include quarterfinal workouts. I could sit you down and we could go through them the way you do in level 2 and the level 2 manual. And you will go, oh, these are balanced tests within the CrossFit and the way that CrossFit views the training methodology and the testing body. But doesn't mean you might agree with it.
Sure.
It's like the year where they had dumbbell snatch, was it wall walk, dumbbell snatch, box jump over, and then they had the deadlift burpee over bar, and everyone's like, we're hinging 2 tests in a row.
Yeah.
Well, you are, but also like
that was last year, wasn't it, or the year before?
That's 2022.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, okay, you are, but like a lot of like a snatch is a hinge, a clean is a hinge, a deadlift is a hinge. Like, I don't know what you're saying here. Like okay, cool. You could have done dumbbell snatch, wall walk, box jump over, and then the next week did shoulder overhead. And like a burpee arguably is a hinge. You got to go down and close your hip and then open your hip and jump over. Like, so I get the argument, but the problem is you start looking at a lot of CrossFit workouts and it's like most patterns are hinging to a degree, unless you're just doing wall balls or shoulder overhead. And like a gymnast, like butterfly, like pull-ups and toes to bar. Even toes to bar is a hinge. So like, where's the argument? Like you're going global flexion, global extension of the spine.
Well, the arguments people just want to argue.
Yeah, I know. I just sometimes when people say stuff like that, I'm like, you sound foolish. Because like,
it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Well, because it's shoulder flexion extension, elbow flexion extension, hip flexion extension, knee flexion extension, right? We'll exclude the ankle. I know jumping, everything else, but like how many patterns can you really have? There's going to be redundancy, and there's redundancy every single day in CrossFit, and not just CrossFit, functional movements. You go to F45 class, you go to Orange Theory, you go to all these places. Redundancy in movement pattern. Power lifters, strongmen. There's redundancy in Olympic weightlifters only, no conditioning. Runners every day, same movement. So, and there's nothing wrong with redundancy in movement patterns. That's another issue. Because redundancy in movement pattern doesn't mean that there's a lack of variance. It just means that you're moving your body functionally through space. Mm-hmm. That's something that also has to get articulated, that I think a lot of these coaches out here or what do you call them? Pundits. We're pundits right now. Don't really say enough of or like come out. Maybe they just infer it and I'm just too dumb to read between the lines, I guess. I don't know, but I don't agree with it. So moving patterns aside, it's not really, looking at those. Let's look at capacities, So if they have a 5-minute test, a 12-minute test, and a 20-minute test, who cares what the movements are? Is that a balanced test within the context of CrossFit?
Yes.
It can be.
You're just talking time domains and energy system. Yes.
Right. So level 1 training, we would talk about the 0 to 5 minutes. You got to have something that's 0 to 5 minutes. You got to have something that's 5 to 15 minutes. And you got to have something that's 20 minutes plus. Right. So like just that alone, if they do that in all 3 tests, which they haven't, I understand in the past, like everything's like 12 minutes, blah, blah, blah. The hard thing is like online competition. It's easy to do 12-minute workouts. It's easy to watch and judge a video. It's easy to set up. It's easy. It fits that bucket. It's easy to do in a CrossFit class because you got warm up, set up, do the workout, cool down. Like it fits perfectly within the structures and constraints we have within the living our lifestyle and everything else. So like sometimes they do that, but
are they programming for the affiliates or are they programming for?
No, I'm just saying it's easier. It's easier
their sport. I know, but I'm saying if that's what they're thinking about, then are they really programming for the sport or are they programming for the affiliate?
Marissa says, I think you'd have a hard time looking at the balance for all the years of the Open. That should be a whole episode. I can do that all by myself, just run through them all. There's going to be...
You should go and like have them categorized and then bucket them.
Yeah, there's going to be error. I've already kind of done that. Obviously, like nothing's perfect, but when we look at just the broader scope of CrossFit, they're pretty balanced, except for the front squat. But it was single modality.
He's gonna die on this sword of this front squat workout.
Well, also 2015, Tyler chose. So we're doing as our Sentence Saturdays. It's already an hour and 4 minutes in. We'll tell everybody we're doing old open workouts, and we're picking some of the hard ones and only the hard ones, and none of the ones that got repeated. There's a lot to choose from. Tyler chose 2015's, I think it was 15.2, right? Or 15.1, 15.1A, 15.1B. An AMRAP of toes to bar, snatch, clean and jerk with a 115, 85 or 75 pound barbell. And then you go into 1 rep max clean and jerk with the remainder time of a 15-minute window, so 9-minute AMRAP We're going to do that one. And like that one too is pretty skewed because they never had a parameter of like how many AMRAP, like how many rounds. So there'd be these big, strong guys who would do like one total bar, rest the time, and then hit like a 350 clean and jerk, right? So the tests do become unbalanced in that way, but the fittest people don't have that problem. The fittest people are hitting a big score on the AMRAP and hitting a clean and jerk. And I also went back and looked at some of those scores. And my new goal now is to be fitter than Jordan Junta, Heather. I looked up his scores. So every time we do a workout, it's like be fitter than Jordan.
That's funny.
Going in.
Jordan was a guy we used to train with who qualified as an indie, who was very freaking fit back in the day.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know Todd and haven't heard him talk about Jordan a million times.
Yeah, I love that guy. Everybody thought he was so fit, and he was very fit at the time. But looking back in hindsight, I'm like, all right, let's see how many people can beat those scores now. Yeah. It's pretty interesting to see. Because he only did a 287 clean and jerk, which is a huge number. But like to get to regionals, he clean and jerk 287. Like,
he also weighs like 150 pounds.
No, it's impressive, but it's not about like that because that doesn't matter.
Sure, it doesn't matter, but
like it's irrelevant to bring up.
I think about him. I was like, oh, that's how much he did. I didn't realize that's how heavy he cleated.
But that's like irrelevant to bring up because of the way the sport's played out.
Yeah,
you could be 2'2", 100 pounds.
It is irrelevant. You know? I just because I have context and knowing who he is, I'm just saying.
I just want our listeners to understand that it doesn't matter how big or small you are. Yeah. Sport doesn't care. What it cares about is that clean and jerk on the board. That's all it cares about.
Yeah. But you're right. I think that there should have been a parameter of like, hey, you have to do 3 rounds of part A for your part B to count or whatever.
Listen, dude, it's not just me that thought a 287 clean and jerk was a big clean and jerk. Okay. That guy got to regionals in 15th place in NorCal with that clean and jerk. So it's not just me. It's the competition thought that was a big clean and jerk in 2015. It's just, yes, that's true. Jordan hitting that clean and jerk, like Marissa said, is impressive regardless of the sport carrying what the number is. And that's what Heather is talking to. You got this little guy who's probably like you said, $150, getting close to a 300-pound clean and jerk. Yeah. It's good. It is impressive. You're right. But yeah, the sport don't care. Just hit the number.
Yeah. But then he also smashed the first part too. So that's where he's making 15th in the region to go.
Right. Because your fitness level. And that's where it plays out, right? So we talk about a balanced test. Sure, there were people who sandbagged and skewed the leaderboard and got a better clean and jerk, or there are people who did better in the Metcon and had a worse clean and jerk. But because that part A and part B, it balanced out those people who are trying to get the best score across the number of tests that they're having. Which then goes back to, is it a balanced test? It's like, well, certainly it is. Mm-hmm. You know, even though I think they could have did a different format for that AMRAP and the clean and jerk to create some type of barrier for those individuals. It could, it's hard to say though, because you can't do like a minimum requirement on like a worldwide event. That would be really tough and demoralizing for people. It's just not inclusive enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think regardless of what comes out, there is bias, there's some small skewing, but if you step back for a second and you take out like your emotional feelings about whatever those 3 workouts end up being, or 4 workouts end up being, and you look through the lens of CrossFit, generally you're going to be like, okay, these are CrossFit workouts. I need to stop and not buy into the narrative, because you're going to hear it.
Yeah.
You're going to hear it everywhere. You're going to see it in morning chalk up, barbell spin. Everyone's said, these are not balanced. These are not the workout. This isn't CrossFit. You're going to see it. And you can either take a step back and ask truthfully and honestly, is it? And play into that narrative and then ruin your whole experience. Or you can be like, okay, like, let me look at these. And I'm willing to, more often than not, they're going to be within line of what CrossFit is, what CrossFit has always been, and where it's going to continue to be, whether you agree or disagree with it or not. Yep. So let's get out.
The Open's going to happen with or without you. So when your opinion.
That's true.
So
that's also true. Well, that's how we feel about the season. It's a lot there. The opportunity to improve yourself, take your training when you come in, whether that's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever you're doing, make it more professional. You know, do those high rockser guys a solid and approach it to make them proud. You know, they want more people to approach it. Even the moms, dads, everybody, old people, everybody, kids, babies, take it serious. My little daughter, Ruth, you know, takes it serious, has her little bin, goes to swim class, all right, has 2 diapers, taking it serious. That's all Marissa. Marissa does a great job. Never forgets it. We hang things. I help her hang things up sometimes, but always hangs it up. Always has the 2 diapers ready to go. The blankets ready to go. Have not missed a beat. Okay. Be like that.
She's bringing the shin guards. She's not going to be the kid.
She's bringing the shin guards. She's killing it. My wife's killing it. And Ruth is killing it. But be like that.
Yeah.
It's better. You have a better outcome. It's more fun. It's less stressful. And you can work on yourself. Yeah, see? She packs the bag the night before, people.
Yep. Smart.
Crushes it.
It's like you've done this before.
Well, we're trying to maximize our life, have a good time, path of the least resistance.
Yeah.
Because you can drag your feet, complain, not understand what CrossFit is, forget your grips and your thumb tape. Like, yeah, things happen. Don't beat yourself up because you're not like on it. But like, it's very easy to walk up in and be like, I got all my stuff. Like, here's my workout. I know what it is. I'm going to work on this today.
Yeah.
Get out and have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, tell jokes. Be more like Ricky. We're going to give a shout out. Every episode, I got to give a shout out to Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just have a good time. He
brings the fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. You'll get better. You get a lot better. And for those of you guys who are like, hey, I'm not going to do the open. I really just like don't even care about CrossFit anymore. Well, I got news for you. F45 is installing squat racks into their training program. Okay. So we've been doing something right for a really long time. And the rest of the world is starting to catch up. You can't quit CrossFit. You can call it functional training or whatever you want and still come into our gym. You could tell your friends, I'll go over to Great Wolf. I don't care. You don't have to say the word CrossFit. Doesn't matter. We are going to do a strength and conditioning program. It's been proven time and time again now, and probably will never be disproven at this point of, we aren't we haven't. Oh, I'll talk about that. At this point, strength, endurance, power, speed, accuracy, balance, flexibility, cardiovascular, respiratory, stamina, all the 10 general physical skills. You need them. You need to train them. You might not train all of them all at once. You might spend a few months doing this one, that one, the other. You got to train this way. It's going to save your life. It's going to improve the quality of your life, open or no open. Taking your training serious, whether you're an hour-long person or a 3-hour person, is going to improve it. And we've done this long enough now that it will, beyond a shadow of a doubt. 10 out of 10 times, 100% success rate. Get your butt in the gym, have a good time. Hopefully it's our gym because we like to have a good time. I'll make jokes. I'll make you move better. I'll make you fitter, faster, and teach you how to enjoy it. And the days you're not feeling it, I'll be like, hey man, you are here. That's all that matters. You give me 10% of whatever you got. Great. I love it.
You didn't say that to me today.
I said, get your butt out there.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I said, have a good attitude. Let's go.
I'm just saying that you weren't as nice to me.
I was very nice, and I did not push you in a negative sense.
I'm just laughing because you're like, I'm going to take care of you. Just come in and work hard. You're like, get out there.
Look, think about your ring muscle ups.
That's true.
You had a good time in your squats. Today. You did a good job. No, you don't paint that picture. You had a great time. I loved it.
Okay, good.
And I love that you were out there. It was good. Yes, Marissa, we're having a camp, impromptu camp. But if any of you guys are in the area, we'll set something up. You can sign up online. We're going to do a little mini camp. It's going to be January. Sorry. Oh my God. I'm messing it up already.
Like
January 18th and 19th, yeah. But it'll be over the course of the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, Martin Luther King Day on that Monday. We had a couple athletes who wanted to come in town and get something going. So we'll give a little bit of lectures. Heather's going to work on a lecture. If you're not in the area, you can come. If you're in the area, you can come. You're more than welcome. We want to share knowledge and experience with you. If you're not a CrossFitter, you can still come. If you want to learn about high rocks, we'll talk to you about that. If you want to learn about running, I'll talk to you about that. We can help you with a lot of things. We have a lot of diversity. We've coached a lot of different people. Generally, strength and conditioning and endurance sport, strength sport, there's a lot of crossover, a lot of overlap, and they coexist and support each other effectively in a good quality training program. All of our coaches can do that on site, remotely, so we can help you. January 18th, 19th, 20th. We'll do some stuff. Heather's going to give a talk. She's working on it. She's going to give a nice presentation of something that she wants to talk about, fitness related. Maybe Marissa will be inclined to do some nutrition chit chat. It'd be awesome. All right. Hopefully you guys have been convinced and persuaded to continue your training. Maybe do the open. At minimum, do a qualifying event. Try to get in person. Enjoy your training a little bit more. And just push yourself forward every day. Fitter, faster, stronger, better. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
End it. We're ending.